guarding the Republic through reason, history, and honest conversation, where duty meets discourse and liberty finds its voice. Together we stand watch as citizens, freelanders, and centenniers, the defenders and guardians of liberty, freedom, and the Republic itself. So grab your favorite adult beverage and join me at the Sentinel Republic.
Oh, bartender, that'll be a double shot of your very best watered-down gin right here.
Hello, and welcome back to the Sentinel Republic. We're rocking and rolling, partying hardy, and just having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. And today, I've been watching some recent stuff on, I like to watch congressional testimony. It's always been a hobby of mine. And I did watch the whole Bondi and the Justice Department talking about the Epstein files. And I was watching that. It's just, the whole thing has been poorly handled. I mean, you could say what you want, both sides. It's goes back decades. It's a mess. And I don't want to get into that too much right now. And this is not my focus of what I wanted to talk about today. But what it really made me think while I was watching all that is just how sick our federal government is at this point. And the Congress and the whole situation. And I love our country and I love our government and I love a lot about it, but at this time, with decades and decades, and I'm not just saying it's Trump, I'm not saying it's Republicans, I'm not saying it's Democrats, I'm not taking it's just socialists, I'm not taking it's just progressives or conservatives or libertarians or whatever. But we have come to an age at this point, in my opinion, where our government has lost so much trust with the American people and has become so divided at this point that our nation is not on a good path. And I am scared for the future of my children and everyone's children and all of our citizens in our country. And I don't say that lightly. I do believe in the country. I do believe in our freedom. I do believe in our path in a lot of ways. We do have still the greatest republic of all time, I think, in my opinion. But at the same time, and I do apologize, I just didn't want that to ring on me. At the same time, our system has lost its way. And as I state in my book, right over here, get my finger right way, democracy is the greatest thing that we can have, and yet we're not a democracy, which is great in that sense. We are a controlled democracy, and that's how the founders founded our country. And we're a constitutional representative republic, and and it worked for many, many years. The problem is you got to keep it stay to your principles, stuck to your principles, if you want to call it that. And unfortunately, I don't think we are there at this point. And my book here is trying to give some fresh new ideas to help reestablish where we were. And like I point out in my Lessons of History book, 1913 is a big transition year for our republic and what really started solidifying our demise, if you want to call it that. And then you got the 40s as well that really solidified it with social services and Social Security. And Medicare, and the 1913, you got the income tax amendment 16 and 17 with the taking the power away from the states, because we're supposed to be a nation of states, the United States. We're all together, we're united under a nation, yes, and a common culture and a common history. And but we've worn that out with division over the years, and there's actors that, especially on the progressive side, that really enhance this, that want socialism, that want to break our nationalism down. And you could say stuff about white nationalist, and you're a white man, you're a nationalist and a nationalist. Anyone who loves their country is a nationalist when it comes down to it. Anyone who thinks their country should be number one is a nationalist. The globalists want us all in one big pot. Can we get there someday? We could. It is possible, and I'm not against that, having a united front. One day, maybe Russia and United States and China and all of us can be come together in a great celebration. And of course, we heard that in The Matrix, haven't we? And we heard that in Terminator and all these other dystopian future. And and can we be united, celebrate the birth of AI, and then next thing they had to burn the sky and all that stuff. But I'm not going there. But at the same time, we are at a crossroads, I believe, and we see so much division. And I'll be honest, I don't believe the Republicans are going to win in the next round. Which honestly, in some ways, that's just the way the pendulum's going to swing. And I don't. I mean, do I want it to swing the other way? But what we're going to get in the other way, we're going to get someone like AOC or Bernie Sanders group or these squad members or someone radical on that, and that's the way it's going to be. And then they're going to cycle back, and then we're going to get someone further right than Trump eventually. Um, I mean, do I support one side and the other? In all transparency, I do. I'm a little bit more on the right, obviously. I project myself though to be more. I do recognize both sides. I try to hear what the liberals and the socialists and the progressive all say, and I go through all the right wing side, and I'm more libertarian in a lot of ways. If I had to really classify myself in that regard, and I don't want to, but I don't like, but that's the problem. You start putting labels on everybody, and everyone doesn't want to listen to you. So I'm really trying to be independent with what I'm saying here. This is stuff that should be national agreement. Yeah, I'm going to be a pro-life person, but at the same time, I do understand where the abortion side is, and there has to be some kind of an agreement. I do have a proposal in my third book that I'm writing, that I hope that we can all come together on, and the majority of the nation. Are we going to make everyone happy? That's the problem. We can't. You got a lot of pro-life people, and you got a lot of pro-abortion people further down the road than what some would like. And you got to remember, this is a nation that we have to come, that should at least be at 2/3, not a democracy. And that's the problem. Democracy is 50-50, whoever gets the simple majority. That's why the founders did not make us a democracy. It should be small incremental changes, small little minor changes to help prevent division, help to prevent hatred and the pendulum from swinging. Small little minute changes that would help benefit the location, the society. Some states are more progressive and some states are more conservative. That's why the 10th Amendment's there. So anything that's not in the Constitution, all the states can then decide. And then again, abortion's not in there, so that should be up to the states. And that's how the recent court ruling was, but it angered so many people. But again, it was the right call. It should be a state issue. We can't force the whole country to come together. Some people are going to find certain states more in their liking. Some people are going to find more cultures in certain states and religious freedoms, and that's perfectly fine. And that's why a lot of stuff has been left up to the states, and that's something I agree with on the elections. States should be running their own election. However, I do agree with some things on the SAVE Act. I think it should be constitutionally mandated that we have a national holiday, a day of civic duty day, a selection. I call it selection day because I'm using sortition. Now, that's a little different. If that never happens, that's one thing. But, I do encourage everyone to see what my thoughts are on that. In one of these videos, I might talk about it. I just would rather I would like some people to, it's easier to read than maybe and get a foundation before I really talk about it. And I will eventually, I'm sure. And if I get enough feedback from people and questions about it, we will talk about it more. But at this point, I do have a national selection day, and we need the national election day the same. We want to talk about, all these holidays, and we need an election day where everyone could come together in a civic union and and it needs to be selected quickly and transparently. The problem is it's not transparent anymore. We have to wait weeks to find out recounts and ballots and questionable stuff. Mail-in ballots. Does anyone here trust them? I will venturing to say the majority of the people of this country do not approve of mail-in balloting. I know it's convenient. It's easy. You get the ballot in the mail, you fill it out, you sign your name, and you send it in. Do you know it's getting counted? Do you know they even got it? Well, yeah, you get an email. I do get a text message that they received it and is going to be counted. Yeah, but do you know? I mean, is any system perfect though? That's a question too. There's some issues with certain things. I mean, even if we had a pollster, we have a box counter, we have anything. I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind even having a thumbprint of my name onto my ballot to ensure an audit be redone that get managed to be confirmed and shown. I bet not many people, not as majority would agree with that, but at the same time, I think every ballot needs to be accounted for. I think every ballot should be watched. I think every ballot should be under security. Every that ballot should be done. I think every ballot should be done at a polling place. Well, I can't get in there. It's too hard. I got work. I'm like, make it a holiday, paid holiday. I know. Well, I'm law enforcement. I can't get in. Oh, I'm a nurse. I can't. Your business got to conform. It already does. You already get a time where you can leave your work to go in most states. Not sure all states do. I'm pretty sure most of them do allow a couple hours for you to go down and vote. Oh, but it's going to fill up all the things. We early voting. We can't do. We got to do early voting. I don't believe in early voting. I don't. I bet a majority of people don't agree with early voting. I know the ones that like it for convenience, but it's going to disenfranchise everybody. I hear that all the time. Disenfranchise everybody. Voter ID is going to disenfranchise people. It's too hard for certain people to get an ID. Well, first off, it's free if you don't have enough money, and you can definitely go down. Plus, voting should be some kind of things on you to go vote. I'm sorry. It has to be so convenient. Someone sends you 3, 4 ballots in the mail, like I mentioned in my last election video that I did a few weeks ago. Like I said, my daughter got 4 ballots in her mail. 2 of them in Spanish, 2 of them in English, and one for Democrat, one for Republican. Yeah, it was the primary, but still. Who's to say what to do with those ballots? Why are they be printed? Who knows what they can fill out? Who can get those through? I don't trust the system at this point. I don't like a lot of this stuff that's happened. Dominion stuff and all this stuff. I mean, whether it's false, whether it's true, whether it's not, whether these judges they don't want to get involved with it. I totally understand why the judges don't want to. They're scared to death. Riots in the street. What if we find out Trump won some states? What if we find all those frauds going on? Whether there is or isn't, it's still questions in the people's minds. And until they have a voter ID in line, I'm not even going to begin to entertain the fact that any of these things are right. Until they have a place where you go into the polling places and not mail in ballots and where it's all controlled in a certain thing, I'm not going to trust any of that kind of stuff. And you could call me, whatever you want on that. I think that's still the majority. And I just saw some polls even on CNN and stuff that show at least 85% of the Americans, in average or something, say that voter ID should be mandatory. Oh, but what about the 15 other percent? Sir, franchise is going to be. You know what? You got to have some kind of a responsibility to get yourself down to the polling place. You got to have some kind of a responsibility to get your ID. Oh, what about a woman who changes her name when she gets married? I saw that argument with some people in Mountain, I think it was Michigan or whatever. I'm like, come on, man. Oh, and it's not even then. If you have an ID, you're supposed to go take care of it. You could go down to the thing and get your name changed. You could still take their ID is the most important, but you could take a marriage license in with you. I mean, you still have some kind of duty to get off your butt and go and take care of your business. And if you don't get it done, there's still provisional voting going on. You could still get it taken care of. Come on now. And you're going to go down there. You're going to go to the thing and the voting place, and you're going to show both of this stuff. You're going to be able to vote. No one's going to prevent you from voting. You're just trying to make it so lazy that anyone can do it, and they're incompetent if that's the case. They shouldn't be voting. I'm sorry, they don't know enough. You can't go down and figure out how to get an ID. I'm sorry. You don't need to be voting. You don't know enough to go get an ID. Come on. At some point, your argument doesn't hold water. And it's not about democracy, and you keep using this term democracy. Democracy, okay, it is democratic. We are democratic at a local level. We are democratic elections for our representatives. We have democratic participation for president. It's not still based on that. That's what the Electoral College is for. It is to prevent just crazed, broken democracy running amok. 368 million people or whatever it is at now. 400 million whenever we get there, and it's going to be there soon. And we can't have that much. That's unchecked democracy. And that's how our nation was founded, my friends. We weren't founded as an uncontrolled democracy 50-50. If you look at all these votes, it has to be 2/3, 60. They even dropped it to 60%. It should be 2/3 in the Senate. It should be 2/3 in the House. Everything, small incremental changes, simplified bills, my friends. Not these 1,500 pages of bloated things with garbage and crap and garbage on top of garbage. It's a landfill. It's a landmine, and that's how this government has become with whatever you call them, non-NGOs and everything else that control us, and the bureaucracies that get trillions of dollars. I think it said $14 trillion these NGOs are worth. Then they're the main contributors, the main donors for the party, and they go to a certain side most of the time. And it's uncontrolled. So what do? We do a later tax system. We got 113 different taxes. Just go check out my other video on that with all the taxes. 113 different taxes. It's not transparent. You don't see where it's going. All these fees are being taken from you and taxes on tops of taxes. You think you're paying, 30% when it comes down to your income tax? It's not just that. You're getting paid in sales tax, which you have to add on to. You get just paid in registration taxes on your cars. You got fees, 911 fees on your phone bill. You got excise taxes. You got inheritance taxes. You got all these taxes and then you got property tax on top of it, which should be illegal as well. And then you got tax on tips. You got taxes on everything. They tax your taxes and taxes. And unless you got a lot of lawyers and a lot of good accountants, it's hard to make that 1040 work for you. And that's how the rich get out of paying their fair share, if you want to call it that. I'll agree with the Democrats on that one and the progressives. Yeah, the rich don't pay their fair share because they got lawyers and they got accountants. And I'm not sitting here going to try to bash on the rich, but then they pay a lot, and I do agree they pay the top, 5% pay the most income, and that I agree with that. That's true. There's no doubt about that. Corporate taxes, you just keep lining them up, and you just layer this tax system, and they're just scamming you. And it gets old. And I know that for a damn fact that I'm going to say 95% of us common Americans here are going to agree the tax system's broken. So why don't they fix it? Why would they want to fix it? That's the question you got to ask yourself, my friends. Why would they want to fix it? They don't want to fix it. They love it. They love the politicians. They might talk a big game campaigning, but as soon as they start taking donations, they're already corrupt and bought out by the system. And then they run up to Congress, and then they get up there, and they're going to see that money flowing in. They're going to get the offers from all these NGOs and all these, special interest groups. So they're going to be offering them all this kind of money. How are they going to turn that down? How do you think they come out $30 million ahead in a year? How does a person like Omar come out $30 million ahead? They buy all these shield corporations. They know what they're doing. They're all, and I don't blame her. They're all doing it. It's not just her. Every single one of them does it. Don't think any of them are innocent. You might find one or two if you're lucky. Why aren't they screaming out? And there's a couple that do scream out, but I like to see their bankroll. I like to see where they live. None of them are going to they show a tax return. You could sit there and, Trump didn't show his taxes. Look at his taxes. I don't trust their tax returns. You think I trust any of their tax returns? They could show me they only made $135,000 or whatever their salary is now. They don't know. Then they come out and on the balance books, they made another $30 million on the side. No, that's not how it works. We know better. We're not stupid. You think we're dumb? These people are so ignorant, too, to that fact. But there are people that are dumb, and they don't pay attention. They don't understand. Oh, my God, Trump didn't show tax. And they get you, and they mine with you. Sorry, I used a bad language there. I might have to bleep that out. But that's what they're doing. They're mind messing you. Mind control. They're distracting you. Look at this whole Guthrie thing. It's a distraction. Look at what they're doing in Congress, why this is going on. It's the top story. I'm not going to sit here and say conspiracy theory on that. Maybe it was set up or wait, it's not. But the media is definitely going to be complicit in it. People disappear. People get taken. I understand that. And it's a tragedy. I totally feel for the family. I mean, it is a bad deal. There's no doubt about that it happened. I mean, I'm not saying that there's something going on there. But then again, there are many people that are gone and disappeared and children missing and all this stuff, but you don't see their names on the national news. Why? Just because this gal's a celebrity? Because she's her mom, her daughter's on the Today Show or whatever? Why is this the top story? And that's all we hear, all we hear. And what are they doing in Congress? There's all these little testimonies. What happened to the Minnesota fraud cases? What's happening to all this fraud with all the Congress people? What have all the investigations doing that were top story? What's all this stuff in Minnesota? It's gone. It's all you see is Guthrie. What about the Olympics? What about all this stuff going on in the Olympics and people bashing the American in the Olympics? Oh, we got to pay attention to Guthrie. Why is that intriguing to everybody? The media knows it. So take a look what's going on behind the scenes. Take a look what all this stuff is coming out in backdoor that's not making the top stories, that's hiding behind it in the curtain. They use that stuff. Both sides do, Republicans and Democrats and any other politician. They all use that stuff as a smokescreen. I wish there was a way to make the transparency come out. I mean, there should be a way. I mean, the whole stuff with the Epstein files has been mishandled. We can say that night and day. I mean, no matter how you shake it. I do see what's going on there a little bit more, and I do think it makes a lot of sense now what's been going on there. I mean, they were going after Trump and stuff and saying he's involved. I was hoping he wasn't. I don't know. I mean, still, I'm not going to sit here and speculate on it, but what's looking now that he was the first whistleblower on the whole thing, and I mean, he was a Democrat donor. He got involved with all those people, and it looked like he's the one that turned on all of them. I mean, that's probably why he's hated so much. That's where all this uncontrolled rage against the man is. I mean, you could say he's done things wrong. I'll sit here and admit he's done things wrong, and that there's some things that I question with him, and stuff. And even this stuff is plain dirty. But at the same time, if it makes a lot of sense why these deep state actors would be going after the guy. And it makes perfect sense to me. Does it justify anything he did? That's between him and God. If we're never going to find it out, he'll be judged, and maybe he is, and maybe he did do things wrong, and there's no doubt he's probably done some iffy things in his life, but he's done a lot of good in some ways too. So, and that's not TDS talking. I mean, if you can hide that derangement stuff and the absolute hatred that people have for him, and just look through some of the good things that he's done, and he's done bad. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but he's going to be judged for that. He's done some good stuff, though. I mean, you can sit here and deny all you want. He's done some good stuff. So, we can question that all we want. We can speculate 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Every president's done good things. Every president's done bad things. Some have done a lot worse too. Obviously, we can look at the last administration probably for some of that. But that's the pendulum swinging, my friends. We need someone down the middle. We don't need this left-wing, right-wing, Democrat, Republican BS anymore. And that's what my Sentinel Republic's supposed to do. Eliminate the parties at the federal level. Cut the bureaucracy at the federal level. Restore power to the states where it belongs. Where we all can focus our ear and our grievances at a local level, not controlled by a universal federal politician like Trump or Biden or Obama or Bush's corrupt families like them, or especially the Bushes. I mean, the entrenched family power that just is there for years. Roosevelts, you can go back to the Roosevelts, you can go back to the Kennedys. These families are just entrenched with power. They're not there for the people. Some of them, they do some things for the people. They could not get elected otherwise. But do you think they're there for their own thing? They're narcissists. Oh, I mean, Trump's a narcissist. There's no doubt about it. I mean, but he does believe in America in a lot of ways, I think. I mean, you can go back to when he was on Oprah back in the 80s. I appreciated him back then. You know, he supports the military. He's gone. You could say all these things, but Atlantic put out that crap about him saying, you know, the stuff about soldiers, and you know that was a crock too. I never believed that for a second. It was proven false. You know, I don't think I think he does have a major love for this country. I do appreciate him for that, and I think that's been demonstrated for the years. Say what you want about you know, anything of other his failings, but he loves the military. He loves our country. He puts America first, and that is a guarantee. You call him a nationalist, they call him this stuff, and you call him fascist or whatever. There's definitely not fascism there. I can tell you that right now. If he was fascist, you would know fascism when it hit you. You'll get fascism. You can go through Hitler and the fascism. I mean, that was pure fascism. But the only people I see that are fascist or using fascist tactics are people like Antifa. They want to call themselves anti-fascist while they use fascist tactics. I mean, it's just right there in their charter. So, you know, they use these words and they turn you against them. Nationalism. Nationalism you could say is a bad thing. Nationalism is a great thing. Nationalism in itself is a great thing, but then you say white nationalism. I don't believe in white power. I don't believe in black power. I don't believe in any of that crap. I believe us in America. I don't even see us as Americans. We see us as Sentinels and guardians. We all need to be universal. We are joining together. We need to quit with all this racist bullcrap, man. Love each other and get to unite with each other. And I don't want to sound like a hippy dippy thing, but that's not the way it is. Eventually, at some point, we're all going to be in this together. We're all going to be united together. That's how we are united. But you let these people get in your head. We got to have reparations from the Civil War. Okay, what reparation? We give you reparations. Let's say we give you $1 million each. What do we? I mean, what's that? We're already $40 trillion in debt. Let's just go up to 50 trillion. Give out reparations to everybody. What do you think that's going to do? Is that going to solve any problems? No, it's just going to cause more divide. I mean, if you want to look at reparations, look at all the deaths in the Civil War. Many, many white people died, families destroyed, brother versus brother, people dead, people dead. That was reparations right there, my friends. But we got to give Native American land back. I mean, okay, let's go with that too. Let's see, look at that. But we want to give back a Native American land. Let's go all the way back. They were here first, so they should get their land back. Okay, when does that stop though? We can keep going back. Oh, Mexico. We can find every Aztec and give Mexico back to them. I mean, some of them are natural Aztecs, some are Spanish. We're all mixed together at this point. We keep mixing together. There ain't no question about this stuff. Can we go back and change history? Would we try? You know, okay, well, let's say we go back in history and we prevent Columbus from sailing across the ocean. Let's hate this man for discovering America. So if it wasn't him, someone would have done it. Eventually someone would have came over. So let's degrade Columbus for what he did. Okay, he might have been a bad man. He might have been a great man. I don't, go back and meet the man, I mean, whatever. He did something that was totally, at that time, you got to comprehend that there was no known thing about what's across this ocean. And they risked their lives, and many of them died sailing across this ocean to discover a thing. Yeah, okay, they brought diseases over. Okay, well, eventually I'm sorry, it was going to happen eventually. Did they know better? No, they don't know medicine. Many of them died in the Black Plague. Look how many died in the Black Death. I mean, then you go back all the way down to the Romans. Okay, the Romans conquered all known world. So do we give the Gauls back the Germans? Well, I mean, they're kind of German descent. So does that work? But what about Rome? Rome was conquered by the Ottomans at one point, and Byzantine and the Byzantine Empire. Do we give it back to them? All the Muslims all had that. Or does Turkey give back all their land to the Byzantines? I mean, where does this stop? Ask yourself that question. When does all this stuff stop? And I like what Morgan Freeman had to say, the actor, when he was on that one time. He's like, if you just keep bringing it up, it's just going to keep getting brought up. I don't like Black History Month, he said. He's like, why? He's like, what about race? And he's like, is there a Jewish History Month? No. Is there a White History Month? No. So what is that? What is this accomplishing? Yeah, we could celebrate Black history. I love Black history. There's nothing, but you give it a month, and then you have to give them all a month. And then what happens when you give white people their month? What happens when you give Native Americans their month? What happens when you get Asians their month? What does that cause? It causes division instead of united. instead of bringing us together. You start grouping us into things. Pretty much we're all going to be mostly going to be having a mix of black and Hispanic and Asian, and eventually that will happen. That'd be under the globalist part when we finally globally come together. My daughter's mixed race, so that did I hate someone because of that? And that doesn't make sense. You do that, and that just causes mind controlling stuff. You break this down. And sometime we'll talk about identity and all that stuff, and we can go into all that stuff as well. I mean, it's all related to, and yet in some ways, but it's all meant to cause division. Black Lives Matter, pride, all this stuff like that, and it's division. It's divisive. Our rights are being oppressed. I mean, what rights at this point do you not have compared to what, let's say, 50 years ago? And as it keeps blending together and more people are accepting, most people are acceptive of gay marriage at this point. Yeah, there's some people that still don't. It's becoming more trendy. It's becoming more of that. Okay. Let you do what you want. Let's go with that. You can do this, do that. But when you come out and gyrate on a freaking on a float, it's going to cause people to get upset. I don't care if they're straight people doing that crap. I don't care if they're straight or whatever. I don't care. I'm not wanting to see that in public. Okay, they're getting married on the thing. We saw that in California. Oh, that's great. Two guys, okay, whatever. They give a little kiss and smooch, but if they start grabbing their junk, celebrating their little marriage, then I'm offended. Same thing if it was straight people or whatever. I don't care. It's great to see people wanting to be in love. Okay, whatever. Oh, it's not the religious thing. Okay, well, that's up to them and God, not me. I'm tired of judging people. Let them be judged. Quit worrying about other people. It's when they get in your face, though, that's when it's a problem. When these protesters get in the middle of the street and cause me for being late or behind or getting in my path of where I'm going, they're breaking the law and getting in my way. I'm not going to support you. You're just a crazy idiot in the freaking street. That's what you are. These idiots blowing the whistles in Minnesota. I was law enforcement too. I could just imagine being in that position with these law enforcement officers, the ICE agents. If you want to, you can say about their tactics, what they're doing, and everything else. You can protest that. But when you're out in the middle of the street running amok and causing problems, blowing whistles in their ear, they're at a heightened escalation right now. And you're thinking that it's all going to go peacefully. That's not how it works. You can stand on the streets, throw up your sign, do all your thing, but you blow those whistles, man. It's a heightened security right then. You're on your guard. You can't hear what each guy's talking with each other. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's the bad guy. You're trying to figure out all these people are fighting and rioting and causing problems. And you think you're getting positive perks for your cause? It doesn't make you look good. And then you risk your lives doing that for that. Okay. There's a right way of going about doing this. And it's not that way. Petition your congressman, petition these things, run your organized group and streets and get a permit and go out there into the park and say, God, ICE needs to stop this. Go do it. I'm encouraging that. That's the kind of freedom of assembly and protest that we have. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But when you're out there causing havoc and rioting and blocking your car and taking your car in front and blocking traffic and getting in the street, I'm sorry, like Florida said, run you over. I have no compassion for that. You're doing the wrong thing. Get out of the road. And I don't hate nobody. I don't want to see anyone getting killed. I don't want to see this rioting in the streets. I love a lot of Hispanic people that are across here. I want them to be ones that want to be Americanized. I do. I want as many people to come across as we can. If they want to speak English and be a part of the system and work together, I'm all for it. Bring them over. especially the ones that have been educated and the ones that want to be here, the ones that excited to be part of our system and salute the flag, pray and pledge allegiance and love to be here, not waving your Mexican flag in front of here. And I don't mind being supportive of your I mean, I like to watch Germany playing in the soccer, and I'm less German than I am English. But because my namesake is German, I like to watch Germany. So I root for the Germans. I root for the English too. Actually, I like seeing our. I just like watching sports. I like watching world sports. You know, I like supporting. My favorite country is actually Ukraine, of all places. I've been a huge Ukraine fan for years. Chernobyl was one of my favorite subjects in school. Do I think Ukraine's corrupt? Yeah, you definitely better believe it. I've done more history research on Ukraine than almost any other country, by the way. I love Ukraine in that regard. I think their history and culture is very amazing. I love Kiev. I mean, I just everything that happened in Chernobyl during the USSR. I love Ukraine in that regard. Do I think? I mean, I could go into conspiracy theories of what I've thought is going on over there too. I don't. I'm not even convinced that this whole Ukraine war was. I mean, and for the people it is. It's a real war. It's a tragedy. It's a global nightmare. But sometimes I don't wonder if the upper Ukrainian government is involved with Putin somehow. Do I know that? No, of course not. Do I believe it 100%? No, of course not. But am I convinced that it's not? Is Zelensky working with Putin to get money funneled in from Biden and all the United States? We're sending them tons and tons of money and tons of arms. I mean, I always had in my book, Without War There Is No Peace, even back in the high school days. World War III started in my original drafts when I was in high school with Ukraine invading Moldova. And it's in there. I kept it in there. I'm not changing it either, by the way. Ukraine is allied with Russia in my book and stuff. Yeah. It's part of my axis thing of evil. Yeah. Do I believe it 100%? No, I sure don't. It's just part of fiction. But at the same time, that I've always envisioned that the World War III starts with Ukraine invading Moldova and going to war with Romania, fighting over Moldova. Just a theory of mine, just a thing I've always liked, and just a thing I've always stuck part, and it's always been a part of my book, so I kept it. There's a lot more to it than that, but in my book. But at the same time, do we know? Do we really know what's going on? Is it plausible? Is it possible that Zelensky himself is working with them? Probably not. I wouldn't go back. But you got to keep in mind, this man flies around the world and goes places, and Putin can take people out anywhere. He's got spies everywhere. He's got KGB everywhere. He can get in there and get somebody, even as much as Zelensky's being protected and stuff. How has this man not been taken out by Russia? Yeah, it's just a thought. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just asking the question. It's just something to think about. Is it maybe it's not him? Maybe maybe Putin has some spies right below him that know exactly where he's doing, and when they know they can take him out any time. But that money could be funneled in. It's going. And they've lost tons of money. That's been known. We're just giving them cash and it's just gone. They know it's been funneled in by their oligarchy and everything else in their system. That's well known and documented that they've lost all that kind of money. And who knows? But that's not neither here nor there. But what we need to do is put up safeguards to help protect us from that issue. We need to start figuring this stuff out and bringing us more united, more united front. Eventually, maybe we can get there. I mean, I think what's going on in Alberta is an amazing situation that can be happening in Saskatchewan, maybe here, British Columbia, if that happens, where they start thing. I mean, I'd love to see the Sentinel Republic coming together up there. And I don't know if sortition would work for a state level. My sortition model isn't meant for a state essentially, and a smaller population, because democracy still needs to be essential at the local level. It's 300 and some odd million that we have here in the United States where it's becoming a problem, where we got too many people and too many voices in the House that are screaming on both sides. We need more average um, civic and participation, in my opinion. Now, do I think it wouldn't work? No, I'm definitely not going there either, because I think it is a beautiful system. And I've been preaching it since college. I don't know if I was doing it in high school, but I know in college I was writing it when I was taking my political science classes, and I wrote about it. That I believe sortition would be a superior form than what we have now with corrupt politicians and bureaucracy the way we have it. We need to simplify our government. And that's what the founders intended, by the way. They didn't intend sortition so much, but they intended a small government, a small federal government, where local governments decide, where states decide things. The federal government's only had the amendments, the 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights. And I don't even think they foresaw many other ones coming in unless it was really crazy. And now we got all these little dinky things that have been passed, like income tax. How did we vote income tax in? First off, oh, we got to pay for the war. Okay, well, we got to pay for a lot more now, but Alberta has a unique opportunity here to set in and get some moral safeguards in if they win this um, referendum coming in December or October, I should say, because it looks like that's going to be on the table. And you know, I did see some comments, like I said in my previous video when I was talking about Alberta and Canada. Why would we want to join the United States for one master to another? And I appreciate that. Actually, I do. I totally get that. United States has its own issues. You got to remember though, Alberta could save the United States. I was watching these hearings too, and I mentioned that earlier. Are we coming to a point in this country where we are getting to the point where our government is so untrustworthy and divisive and broken that we need a hard reset? I don't know. The whole release of these files, the whole boondoggle of just I mean, I have to admit, it's much more transparent under the Trump administration, finding out things, watching things, looking at things, and hearing about things. I mean, Biden had almost everything. I didn't appreciate that. You know, at the same time, I'm not a big fan of how especially like they're covering up stuff. There's no doubt they're hiding things, that things are broken. I do not like the fact that they retract one person name and then they hide it, and when it's really brutal on them, they have them in there all the other times. But when it is brutal, they're hiding certain people. I did that's Come on now. I can get why the Democrats are really going after Bondi on that and all that stuff, and I get it. I would too. If I was up there, I'd say some things because it's not been handled correctly. Um, I do feel like some good things did come out of this last dump. I do think some more transparency has come out. It's still not enough. We need to know what's going on, and you know, it's been mishandled. So there's no doubt about it. She can sit up there and cry about the stock market being 50,000, whatever. That's deflecting. Sorry, I mean I'll call out a Democrat or Republican whenever they do it. I hate when they do that crap when they're at hearings. Yes or no questions. I mean I like those kind of things. They usually deflect and they don't answer the question. I hate that, and it makes you want to pull your hair out. Yet I come back for it. I don't know why. I don't know why I torture myself with that stuff, but because it's both sides do it. There's no one that's not innocent of it, and they can sit here and say, "Oh, just answer the question." Come on, man. So and they go too far in certain things. Some of them aren't yes or no, and I get that. And I think it's a case by case basis, but both sides do it. They're both just as bad as each other, and it's all partisan. It's all thing. But you got to keep in mind these people are up there representing a party. they got a lot of pressure on their party, pushing them to do certain things, right? There's pressure making them want to pass bills, pass legislation, do these hearings, and they want to make a name for themselves and get their votes in and get their cast in. I get that. I'm not obtuse to that fact. But then again, it's all about party. So what happens is you got Democrat and you got Republican going. Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican. What about the middle people? What about the independents? What about the ones in the that are not, they have no representation at all? Let's say we do strict 25, let's say go liberalism, right? 10% probably progressive, right? Way out there on the Democrat side. You got another 15 or so percent that are pretty solid, left wing and pretty wide out there. Then you got another certain percentage, probably maybe 10% that are liberalish, conservative-ish, and that makes up your Democrat Party. So what's that, about 35% or so? 30, maybe let's just go with 30, nice even number. Same thing on the Republican side. You got some libertarianish conservative ones, really conservative, the extreme, nationalism ones, and that are really way over there, that are far right, if you want to call them the squad, and you add them up, and it's about the same breakdown coming down to the end, right? So you got 30-30. So that's 60, right? So you got 60%. Even if we went 35, that's still 70%. You still got 30, I'd say, but it sounds more like 40% that are probably right in the middle that don't give a pardon me, I almost said a bad word there again. Two craps and a F word about parties. About 40%. Let's just go with 40. That's probably, I'm thinking that's about the right amount. Some might be in a party that don't even vote, that don't care about that party, and they just vote in that party just to vote for that party, or like and look like they're in that party, but they're not. You know, I did that when I was registered Republican for quite a long time. I just did it so I could vote in the primaries. I wasn't. I don't agree with parties, and I never really did. I am actually registered a libertarian right now, just so I can go to the convention and be part of something. I just definitely don't want to be part of the Republican side right now, and I think it's all just a big corrupt thing. And same thing with there's some things libertarians do a lot of things I don't agree with as well. And that's the thing. I would be independent, but I don't get to vote in primaries. I don't get a part of anything. So yeah, that's part of being the process. And I do it more for, what do you want to call it? Um, Personal reasons to do it that way. Like I say, if I had to identify with any of the parties to begin with, though, I probably more identify with the libertarians. But at the same time, like I say, there's certain things that they do that are just too much for me. But at the same time, I do plan to go to the convention this year, and I do plan to be part of that. And I would like to be part of their system in some regard, and I would do what I can to support certain things. But I personally, I don't want to ever campaign or do a thing without taking money. First off, I don't believe in the donation part. I think it should be civic duty. I think it should be done a lot differently. So I'm, like I said, I'm just doing it for enjoyment, I guess, if you want to call it, and research and stuff like that. But that all said, um, the party system is broken. Party systems all relying on money and power and division. They love fighting amongst themselves. They love fighting, causing the screaming at each other. That's what causes the pendulum to shift. That 40%, the 40% is what makes or breaks the thing. And they have no representation at all in any of these hearings, in any of the process. There is no participation by the majority of Americans at this point. That's why my book, I can't turn my hand that way. Oh, sorry, cut my hand off on there. But that's why my book, I think, is so uniquely important and uniquely designed to help prevent this breakdown where common Americans, average independent Americans that want to be a part of the process can be a part of the process, be rewarded, and take care of our citizens. I want you to think about that for me, my friends. Think about that. Where you could be a part of the process, be well rewarded, taken care of, and all you have to do is go sit and vote and take care, listen to bills, simplified bills, by the way, not this complex BS garbage. You don't have to go propose bills. You don't have to go up there and debate. You don't have to be part of the system in that regard. You just get to go up there and listen and hear what's going on, be a part of the process, and vote and do your civic duty, well rewarded, and come home and feel that you've done your part to make this country great again. And I'm not talking about MAGA. And when I go about MAGA, I actually call it, I mean, I support MAGA in a sense, but it's Make America Great Always. Not again. I think we need to get past the again part. We need to make it great always. Build our nation stronger. Build us. Like for taxes, right? Let's simplify them. Make one tax. You'll know what you're paying. Know what you're going to get. Know how to budget yourself around it. You get to keep everything though. You get your capital gains, you get your own retirement, you get your own, it's all in one thing and you all get to take care of it. You don't have to worry about people taking out your Social Security. You can put in your own retirement account. You get the freedom to take care of yourself. And you don't have to work near as hard. You get all your paycheck. Oh yeah, things are going to be more expensive at the store. Yeah, the taxes are going to be there, but it's going to be all simplified. It's all going to be one place. How can you not like that over our system of 113 different taxes now? I want someone to mention in the comments why you would favor our 113 taxes over one consumption tax. Anybody, any comments? Love to hear it. How could that not be a positive for everybody? Why can we not make that happen? I mean, littlest thing we can do is make a 28. I do have a 20th Amendment. I do have simplified bills in it. I do have budgetary things in it. I do have a healthcare thing in it. I do have a tax system in it. And I also have term limits, my friends. How is that not done? Oh, wait, we can't get past the politicians. Of course you can't, because that's where they live and that's where the money. How do we not have a convention of states to get that crap done? These people should not be there more than 2 years. Oh, it's going to cause too much division. No. If we all voted them out next time, we'd start all the way fresh. Just that easy. But we can't. Incumbency is already guaranteed to win. In a lot of states, it's already guaranteed you're going to get 50% of the votes before you run. You can run a piece of toaster strudel with a little bit of icing on it. Put it on there and say Democrat. Boom, you're in. Put it in New York, one of those districts in New York. Put it in AOCC. Get rid of AOC and put in a bagel with some cream cheese. They're going to vote for it. Put in Foamy the Squirrel in a conservative place down in Alabama. Yeah, get off there and Foamy the Squirrel. Oh, yeah, and screaming and yelling, and you put him down there and he'll win. If you put him as an R, doesn't matter who you put on there. He's a cartoon. You can put Daffy Duck in there. He'll win. There's no doubt about it. You put none of the above, just like in Brewster's Millions. That would win if you put an R by it or a D by it, depending on what district you're in. It would win. It doesn't matter. It's already a said done deal. Because that's all that people there vote for. When I was saying 30, 30, 40, that's just an average in America. That's not, in some districts it's 70, 30. Or not even that, probably 60% Democrat, 10% Republican, and then the rest are, the other 40 are independent. And that's already over. You can run a French toast and it would win. And then they say, oh, what a great victory they won. No, the people spoke. No, the people didn't speak. You're not representing nobody. You're representing a party, not the people. You've been brainwashed. thinking that it's otherwise. But then again, that's where we're at. So I see this growing though, this division. We got a choice here to make. We either going to go down a road where we're all going to be divided, broken, rioting, eventually maybe even a civil war at some point. I would hope that doesn't happen. I wouldn't even know how to begin, how to process that. I mean, although I do it in my book, but it is under different circumstances. I try to use my book as for there are some things in it, but my fiction series. Can we get to that point at some point? I mean, look at the stuff going on in certain places. What is it gonna what is it gonna take? What is it gonna? There's gonna be a boiling point at some point. It's gonna be a division some point. The pendulum is swinging back and forth, and you can see it. You say I don't have much faith in what's gonna happen this year in the Congress because it's the typical thing. I mean, Republicans are getting what they want, so why would they show up to vote? And they don't. I watched J.P. Sears. I don't know if anyone's seen Awaken with J.P. And he was just out on a video the other day. He's like, he's tired of it. He's burned out, and you can just tell in his videos he's done burned out with a lot of it. And I get it, and I totally understand. You go on some of these videos, they're trying to promote, and liberal high mind. I mean, he does a good job in those things, and they're trying to keep people up informed. And Walk Don't Warn Big Productions, and I like them, and they show things about that kind of stuff, and I I like Zed's education and everything. They all seem to come, you know, they're active, but they're not, and they're bringing up stuff. But you see all this infighting with Republicans now, and you see all this breakdown of and division with the Charlie Kirk thing and Erica Kirk and all this stuff, and it's all blinding you to the actual what's going to happen. It's part of the pendulum just getting ready to come back and across, and it's going to fly to the other side just like that, and then it's going to be in their time in the next 2 years. Their people are spoken, and then they'll elect someone like AOC as president of the United States, and then then we're going to get to a point where one of these presidents is going to say, screw the Constitution, wipe their ass with it, and throw it into the trash. And then we will see tyranny. And then we will see fascism. And then you'll understand what fascism really is. And dictatorship. You'll see what that really is. Is it possible? I don't know. I sure hope not. I sure hope things go a little bit better. I don't even want to see the Republicans win, to be honest. I would love to see a third party somehow come out of it. My Sentinel Republic, maybe. A party that is designed to build safeguards, to help bring us together, to help unite us as one. And I go back to the camp and the Alberta stuff, and I see them talk about, we don't want our one king for another, and I get that. You got to remember, the United States is a nation of states. If Alberta were to join the United States, just to say that was theoretically possible, I mean, first off, they would save us and would be a tipping point balance. But then again, we'd have to let Puerto Rico in to balance that out for liberal state. But we look at those things in British Columbia, then Saskatchewan, those one purple and one red. Okay, we can start going into all that stuff. So there's 4 states. It is possible, and keep balance within the system. And that's how we always been. But at the same time, if it was just Alberta, that would be in a tipping point. I mean, that would help prevent some of that. And maybe if Alberta was the Sentinel Republic, it would help spread the Sentinel Republic. It's time for a change. And I think my Sentinel Republic of the United States is you can call it a dream, call it a utopia. You can call it what you want. It is a move in the right direction. And with that, I'm going to leave it. Please get my book. Please comment on it. Please leave a review. Please like and subscribe if you like my content. I am trying. I'm not a pro. I'm not Ben Shapiro. I'm not, you know, Bill Maher. I'm not any of these people. I'm just a new guy trying to do something here. I'm just an average guy. I don't have much. You know, I'm a stay-at-home dad that's just trying to make things right. That feel is doing something, I think, to benefit our country. And I hope you join me in this movement. I really do. I think it's going somewhere. I do hope it does. And I'm willing to do whatever I can to help make this possible. And I don't want money. I don't want power. I'll tell you that right now. I don't want money and power. I don't want greed. I don't want any of that in my life. I don't want I'm trying to do this with virtues in my mind to do the right thing and help us be one nation under God. And I think there's something to that. Thank you for joining me, and hope you have a good night.